Hello everyone and welcome back to Love English. I'm Sabrah and today we're looking at 50 plus advanced verb phrases. Now these are going to be fantastic for a natural conversation. They're great phrases to boost your fluency and also to help you sound more natural in conversation. So they're great to just drop into conversation to make you sound more natural. Now, if you do not use vocabulary, if you don't practice it afterwards, it's very easy to forget it. So what I would like you to do is, as we go with each phrase, try and think about some way in which you can relate this to your own life and try to make an example sentence that's about you. The more we personalize vocabulary and the more we put it in context, the more we can actually remember it and it becomes part of our everyday speech. Now, if you are interested in boosting your vocabulary and taking it to the next level, we have our advanced vocabulary course on learning and building your vocabulary. And this has exclusive video content and also it has 60 pages of quizzes, vocabulary lists, tips, exercises. It's a really good little course to really help you boost your vocabulary and it's on sale now. So check that out, it's down in the description box below. So first of all, we're looking at verb phrases with go. Number one is to make a go of something, to make a go of something. If we make a go of something, it means we're really trying hard to make it work. We're trying hard to make it successful and we're succeeding. Things seem to be going well at the moment. So we might say, we're really making a go of the business. We put so much effort into it and we wouldn't let it fail. So you're saying we're really working hard, trying to make it successful and it seems to be going well. We're making a go of the marriage. We've had some ups and downs in the past, but now we're really making a go of it. Number two is it goes without saying. It goes without saying. And this is when something is very clear or obvious that we almost don't need to say it. So if somebody says, oh, well, why didn't you tell me you loved me today? You might say, well, it goes without saying. Of course I love you. So it's really when something is so clear or obvious that we feel we don't have to say it, so we can drop this in instead. So we might say, well, it goes without saying that we're going to help our daughter at university. So often we say this when somebody has kind of said, but are you going to? Well, of course, it goes without saying. Number three is to be on the go, to be on the go. Now, if somebody says this, they mean they haven't stopped. They've been very busy all day. So you might hear people say, oh, I'm so tired. I've been on the go all day. And it means they've been very occupied by tasks, possibly that they've been moving around a lot as well. They've been very busy. So they've been on the go. Number four is to go to great lengths, to go to great lengths. And this is where you make a lot of effort. A great length means a feat or a lot of effort. So if you say, well, she'll go to great lengths to make sure that her son gets to university, it means that this mother will do anything really. She'll work round the clock, she'll help him with his studies, she'll drive him up to university interviews, she'll do what it takes, usually putting in a lot of effort to make sure he gets to university. So number five is to go bananas or to go ballistic, And basically this means somebody gets very cross about something, upset and cross, very similar to saying the person went crazy. My father went ballistic when he saw how much he was going to have to pay for the wedding. What was the last thing that made you go bananas or ballistic? Tell us about that in the comments below. Number six is as far as it goes, as far as it goes. And this basically is used to describe something which is limited but sufficient. So basically we're saying judging by as much as we have, yeah? We're not saying that the whole thing is good because we feel like the whole thing isn't complete yet. So I could say to a student, the essay's good as far as it goes, meaning perhaps it was a little bit short, a bit limited. Or I could say, well, the decorators have done a good job as far as it goes, meaning I don't really think they are finished, just judging on what I've seen so far. Number seven is to go downhill, to go downhill. If we say something has gone downhill, we mean it's taken a turn for the worse, which is also a good phrase. So basically, if you say something has gone downhill, it is decreased in quality, it is not as good as it was before, and so we feel it's gone in the wrong direction, really. So I could say, my Spanish has really gone downhill since I became a mother. I never have time to practice. The next one, number 8, is to go to pieces, go to pieces. This is basically where somebody is so nervous that they feel they cannot continue with something. They feel that they've almost shattered into pieces. So they're so nervous they can't function normally. So we could say, she went to pieces before her presentation. She had to say that she was unwell and went home. It can also mean very upset. If you say you're in pieces or you've gone to pieces, it means you can't hold things together. You're so upset about something that you can't function normally. I will go to pieces when the family dog dies. Oh my goodness, I am absolutely going to go to pieces. Look how cute he is. Number 9 is to go down well. If we say something has gone down well, it's been very well received by a group of people, or it can be an individual, but we use it a bit more with a group. So if I say, oh, well, my new lasagna went down very well last night with the guests, we mean they enjoyed it, it was well received, it got good feedback. Right, now we're moving on to phrases with take. So the first one is to take something in your stride. To take something in your stride. If you take something in your stride, you are not too upset by it, you are not too worried by it, you're not too shaken by it. Basically, you're able, a stride is to walk confidently. So basically it means you're able to keep going, to be strong and steady and not let this thing affect you too much. So we could say, she took her poor IELTS score result in her stride. She didn't let it affect her too much and she's going to prepare again and try next year. Another example could be, I thought he'd be very upset about the news that his leg will never completely recover, but he seems to be taking it in his stride and remaining positive. Number 11 is to take something for granted. To take something for granted. Basically, this means that if you take something for granted, you don't appreciate it as much as you should. You don't say thank you enough for it. You don't think, oh gosh, I'm so lucky to have that thing. So often you'll hear this phrase in the negative. It could be somebody saying, don't take me for granted, meaning appreciate me more, or don't imagine I'll always be here. So it's where we don't kind of care or show appreciation for something as much as we should. So we could say, it's really important that we don't take our parents for granted. They won't be around forever. Number 12 is to take a leaf out of someone's book. To take a leaf out of someone's book. And basically this means to copy them or follow their example in some aspect. So we might say, I'm going to take a leaf out of my neighbour's book and go jogging with him in the morning. He seems to be really positive and really energised for the day, so I might take a leaf out of his book and give it a go. Sometimes parents use this phrase in a bit of an annoying way. They might say, why don't you take a leaf out of your sister's book and study harder? Number 13 is to take the plunge. And this basically means to dive into something or commit to something which you're a bit nervous about, but you're going to try. So we could say, I'm going to take the plunge. I'm going to go to Italy on my own for a month and go and learn Italian. I'm a little bit nervous, but I've been thinking about it for a while, so I'm just going to take the plunge and do it. Number 14 is something has taken its toll. And we use this about situations which have had a negative impact on us. So if we say it's taken its toll, we mean it's had a negative impact. It's taken its kind of dues in terms of the negativity or the problems that it's caused. So we could say, the sleepless nights with my baby have really taken their toll. I'm feeling so tired and look, I've got bags under my eyes. An example that's very relevant for us now could be, all the problems that coronavirus have caused have really taken their toll, and more people are stressed and anxious than ever before. Number 15 is to take shape, to take shape. And if something takes shape, it's starting to get a clearer and more defined form. You can see it actually starting to work, starting to happen. So if you say, oh, this project's really taking shape now, you mean you can actually see it starting to develop, starting to come together. It's not finished, but you can start to see how it will look finally. My new business idea is really taking shape. I'm almost ready to launch it. Number 16 is to take someone under your wing, to take someone under your wing. So this is where we look after somebody, we care for them, especially when they're in a new situation where we have more knowledge than them and we are perhaps in a more secure position. So quite often, if you've been at your work for a long time, a colleague of yours or your boss might say, can you take the new boy under your wing? Can you show him the ropes and try and help him out, look after him, show him what's what? That would basically mean, can you look after him? Can you guide him? We might say, Max has really taken Susie under his wing. I think he could tell that she was new in the school and she was a bit nervous, so he's really taken her under his wing. Right, now moving on to phrases with come. The next one is to come to your senses, to come to your senses. And this means to suddenly see things clearly, to see things logically and see reason, basically. So we might say, after 3 years of being with a girl that treated him badly, finally he's come to his senses and he's broken up with her. So we often say this when somebody has made a decision that is actually good after having previously made bad decisions or the wrong choices. We would say, oh, he's come to his senses. Number 18 is to come to terms with, to come to terms with. If we say someone has come to terms with something, we mean they've accepted it, they've made their peace with it, it was difficult for them, so it was something that it was hard for them to accept, but now they've come to terms with it. So we could say he's come to terms with the end of the relationship, she's come to terms with the fact that she's lost her job, things like this. So when difficult things happen to people or things they don't expect and it's hard for them to accept it, this is when we use this phrase. Number 19 is to come up trumps. To come up trumps, which basically means to do a good job at something. And this is kind of surprising. So if someone says, oh, you came up trumps, basically that means that they didn't think you would do as well at that as you have done. And so it's a compliment, but it's also saying, I wasn't sure that you would manage that as well as you have. So if we say, oh, you came up trumps with that report, you did a great job, how did you do it so quickly? The person is inferring they didn't expect you to do as well at that in that time frame. It's important to point out that usually we say this about other people, not usually about ourselves. So I could say to a friend of mine, oh, you came up trumps making that costume for your daughter's play at the last minute. So we usually say it to other people. We don't tend to say it about ourselves as it can seem maybe a little bit arrogant. So it tends to be used about other people. Number 20 is to come alive, to come alive. And basically this means to have more energy, to seem filled with life. So it's a very easy one to understand. We could say the children came alive when we took them into the tent to see Santa. They were so excited. Number 21 is to come to an end, to come to an end. So basically this just means to finish. It's perhaps a more eloquent way to say something is ending. So we might say, I'm sorry ladies and gentlemen, but in 5 minutes the performance will come to an end, so please get ready. Number 22 is to set your sights on something. And this means to have something as a target or a goal which you desire. For example, you could say, I've set my sights on getting a 7.0 in my IELTS so that I can come and study in the UK. So it's like you've set your sight on this, so you're looking at your goal basically. Or we could say, I've really set my sights on that job. Or I've set my sights on becoming financially independent. Number 23, this is a fantastic expression. I use this one a lot. This is to set the world to rights. To set the world to rights. You can also change set and say put. We use both. And this is basically where you're having a conversation with somebody and you start talking about the problems that are happening on Earth and political issues, social issues, and you start talking about how you think things can be fixed. And you get into quite a good discussion about this and you're like, oh, I think if this could happen, it would be better. And oh, if only that didn't happen. And basically we would say in these cases that we're setting the world to rights or putting the world to rights. So we might say, we stayed up chatting till 10 o'clock. We were putting the world to rights. So it's a nice one to use if you're the kind of person that likes getting into these sort of discussions. The next one is to be set in your ways, to be set in your ways. If you're very set in your ways, you have very fixed habits, which you would find it very difficult to break now. So if we said, oh, I don't think my mum will fly at her age to India, she's very set in her ways. I can't imagine she would find it that easy to be in another culture at her age. We do tend to use this more about older people as it probably is more relevant for them. However, some young people can be set in their ways. They can find it difficult to adapt to new situations. They have habits which are quite fixed for them. I am set in my ways in one way. I must have a cup of tea in the morning. That is something that if I travel abroad, really find it difficult to do without. So I'm set in my ways in that respect. In what ways are you set in your ways? Tell us about that in the comments below. Number 25 is to set foot somewhere, to set foot somewhere. So if you say, I've never set foot in South America. It's a continent I'd love to go to, but I haven't set foot there yet. So you can use it like this. Or we could say, why do you keep talking to me in Spanish? I've never set foot in Spain. Right, the next verb we're looking at is put. So the next one is to put your foot down, to put your foot down. And this means to say very clearly no about something, to be kind of very clear that you've made a decision about this and that you won't change it. So we could say, I had to put my foot down when my boss asked me to work Christmas and New Year. I had to put my foot down and say no. The next one is to put your mind to put your mind to. And this means to focus your mind. And this basically means to focus your mind. So if we say, if you put your mind to that, you could really succeed. She's a very bright student. She could do anything that she puts her mind to. So the next one at number 28 is to put two and two together. To put two and two together. And basically this is where we think, right, I've got this piece of information, this piece of information. If I put these two together, I've worked something out. But you didn't have all the information, so you had to put the pieces together. So you could say, I've put two and two together, and I think I know now why she's always late for work. I think she goes and gets a coffee. I've seen her putting the coffee cup in the reception bin. Moving on now to verbs with make. The next one is to make do, to make do. If we make do with something, it means we don't have the thing we actually wanted, perhaps because it's not available. So we have to make the best of an alternative. So we could say, the shop didn't have the extra virgin olive oil for the salad, so we'll have to make do with the ordinary one. I haven't got enough money for a new dress for the Christmas party, so I'll have to make do with my old one. Number 30 is make or break. If we say something is make or break, we mean it's either leave it, so either don't bother with this anymore, quit it, or make it work. So the break is leave it, and make is to make it work. It's really make or break with a new restaurant. Either we put everything into it and we make it work, or we decide to close. Number 31 is to make a point of, to make a point of. If you make a point of something, you really make a lot of this point, you emphasize it. You want others to notice what you're doing, or you want others to see you making this point. So we could say, she made a point of saying that she's never late on the days when she picks up the children. I think she must have been giving me a hint. Number 32 is to make a mess of something or make a pig's ear of something, which is a fantastic one. If we say we've made a mess or we've made a pig's ear of something, we haven't done very well, it's gone wrong. This is often with activities, with cookery, with a task that we have to do, crafts, or it could be something at work. For example, a business deal, you can make a mess of that or a pig's ear of it. An interview, and it's gone wrong, unfortunately. So we could say, I've made a pig's ear of this cake. I opened the oven too early and now it's dropped. Okay, now we're moving on to phrases with look, see, and eye. So all phrases to do with how we see something. Number 33 is look on the bright side. And if we say this, we mean try and be positive. Try and focus on the things that are good about your life or your situation right now. So this is quite a British thing to do, to try not to be so negative and to find the positives in situations. So we might say, look on the bright side, at least it's not raining. So basically we use it when we're pointing out the positives to someone. The next one is to look as though or to look as if. They mean the same. And basically we use this when we're saying something seems this way. The appearance of it is this. So we could say, he looked as if he was about to faint. Or he looked as though he'd seen a ghost. Or he was so happy, he looked as though he might explode. Number 35 is to look worse for wear. To look worse for wear. And this is where you don't look very good. You look tired, you look perhaps stressed or unwell. So if we say, you look worse for wear, we mean you look like you've been worn out, basically. So if we say, gosh, you look worse for wear after that 12-hour shift, go and have a rest. We mean you don't look well, you look tired. The next one is to see eye to eye. It's probably quite a phrase that you're familiar with. It means to agree. So we could say, we don't see eye to eye on vegetarianism. We have totally different opinions, so it's best if we don't discuss it. Or we see eye to eye on our political opinions, and that's why we vote for the same party. The next one is, I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I see it. And this is where a person is skeptical and they don't think something is going to happen. So they say, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. So if, for example, a student that doesn't work very hard said to me, I'm going to pass my CAE at the end of this term, I might say, oh yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. Number 38 is to clap eyes on someone, and this means to see them. So if you say, I haven't clapped eyes on her in months, you mean I haven't seen her in months. The word clap is a bit strange here, but it's just the expression that we use. I loved her from the moment I clapped eyes on her. The next ones are all with let, the verb let. Number 39 is to let something slip. And if we say this, we mean we've let the cat out of the bag. It's the same meaning. So you don't mean to actually say this thing, this secret information, but accidentally you forget and you reveal it. Alex let it slip at the party that he was married, so they must have gone and done that in secret. Number 40 is to let something be. To let something be. If we say we need to let something be, it means not to bother or touch something or someone. So if we say, let me be, we mean leave me alone really, don't bother me at the moment. Or you could say, you need to let this situation be. Just wait for things to calm down and then you can decide what to do. Number 41 is to let yourself in for something. To let yourself in for something. And this is basically that you've got yourself into a situation which is a little bit difficult, which perhaps is more difficult than you anticipated. So sometimes we might say, oh, I don't know what I've let myself in for with this new job. It seems so much hard work. Right, the next phrases are with run. So number 42 is to be run off your feet. And this means to be extremely busy. It's an idiom. Basically, we tend to use this about jobs or about activities that are physical, where we're having to move around a lot. So we wouldn't say, I've been run off my feet finishing these reports, because it wouldn't make sense. But we would say, it's been so busy in the restaurant, I've been run off my feet. Or, I've been so busy looking after my in-laws, I've been run off my feet. Number 43 is to be running out of steam. To be running out of steam. And this means you're running out of energy. If you think about the old trains, they ran on steam. So we use this to mean we're running out of energy, we're running out of fuel, basically. I'm really running out of steam now after 6 months of hard work on this project. I can't wait for it to be finished. Number 44 is to be running low on something. If you're running low on something, you don't have much of this. The supply is low. We're running low on bread. Would you mind picking some up from the shop? Or we're really running low on staff this week. We need to hire some temporary people to make sure we're covered. The next one is to run a tight ship. To run a tight ship. And if you've been in the Navy or the military, you'll understand this phrase because it's basically about making sure that everything is done very efficiently, tidily, quickly, everything like that. So it's where people very quickly respond to orders, everything is very organized and efficient. But we can use this about many fields of work or households even. So if we say, the boss Emily runs a tight ship, she doesn't like lateness and she likes tasks to be completed on time. Number 46 is to make a run for it. To make a run for it. And basically this means to try and escape, to try and avoid something. So sometimes we might say, oh, it's our turn to present next. Shall we make a run for it? We might use it as a joke, but also we can use it literally if somebody has tried to escape something. Often we use this about animals or children when they run off. So we could say the children made a run for it when they were told to come in and stop playing because it was time for them to have a bath. The next one is to run in the family. And this can refer to genetics that have been passed on, so attributes, conditions, traits. So we could say a musical flair, meaning a musical ability, a talent for music, runs in the family. We all have freckles, so I guess it runs in the family. Is there something that runs in your family? It could be a particular physical attribute or a talent. Tell us about that in the comments below. Number 48 is to run around in circles. If you say you're running around in circles, it means you're not getting a particular job done. The conversation can also run around in circles or go around in circles. It means you're not getting anywhere with the conversation. Nothing's been sorted out, agreed on, resolved. So we can also use this with tasks. If we say, I've been running around in circles this morning, I don't seem to have been able to get anything done properly. Number 50 is a dry run, and this means a test run, a trial of something. So before big events, it's important to have a dry run, meaning a practice before you have the audience in there. We need to do a dry run of the presentation before the actual thing on Thursday. Let's come in and practice it beforehand just to make sure we're prepared. Number 51 is in the long run, in the long run. And this means in the long picture, in the long term. So we might say, okay, they've broken up now, but I think she'll be happier without him in the long run because they didn't have all that much in common. It's like saying, if you consider the bigger picture in the long term. Right, everybody, now for your homework. Please make a sentence with the following phrases and see if you can also think of some alternative phrases that you know that mean something similar. So that's your homework, everybody, and do make sure you do it. It'll be better for you in the long run. We'll see you soon on Love English. Bye-bye.